Sifter for the ear.
News, interviews, reviews, cinema, TV, streaming. Action!
Hi, y'all. This is Jerry Williams, a.k.a. TV Jerry. Movieland is back with their Summer Kids series with $1 movies every Wednesday at 11 a.m. all summer long. Meanwhile, Regal Cinemas is offering their Endless Summer Movies, where you can buy 3 months of unlimited movies and get an extra month free if you sign up in June.
Thank you for calling WellCare. If you're trying to reach One Care, We Care, Some Care, Who Cares, or You're Kidding Me Pharmaceuticals, press 1. If you're trying to reach We Care, You Think We Care, We Used to Care, or I'd Like to Think You Care, press 2.
That was Donald Silverman reading from his book. But that particular episode was about him trying to contact WellCare, a national Medicaid and Medicare provider. His book is titled Oddball Thoughts, a collection of random observations he wrote between 2019 and now. Donald spent his years in Richmond as a producer-director for numerous commercials and videos. Today, we'll look back at those flush times in the production industry, including 2 surprise drop-ins.
Sifter Review of the Week.
Hitman on Netflix. The movie Anyone But You put Glenn Powell on the map as the new rom-com crush. While this new effort may continue his rise as a charismatic leading man, it's not as memorable. He plays a nerd in the police department who's assigned to pretend to be a hitman in a sting operation. After his first arrest, he takes to the role with numerous disguises and continual success. The montage of character types might have promised a comic angle, but they quickly abandoned that goal for a more straightforward story with a romance tossed in. Director Richard Linklater understands narrative, and this one moves with interest, thanks primarily to Powell's charms. This film won't be remembered as one of his greatest efforts, but it's acceptably entertaining. I gave Hitman 2.5 out of 5 stars. So, Donald Silverman, how did you end up as a director?
Well, I started out as a producer with Greg Hoy, and I went into business in 1981. We worked together for 3 or 4 years. And
that was Hoy Silverman Productions.
That's right. And then I found us a connection in Chicago, and they were interested in hiring him as a director cameraman and didn't really need my services. So here I was left with a production company with no director. And then at one point, a client from Washington called me because he knew me, and he said, I got some TV spots I need you to do some promotion on. I'll need you to direct it. And I said, well, I guess I'm a director today. And lo and behold, the first job we got was with the Martin Agency to shoot a spot for Burger King.
Footnote.
The Martin Agency is a top creative advertising agency in Richmond with clients like Bud Light, CarMax, Geico, and Oreo.
Then the next job we got came out of Pittsburgh through somebody he knew. And I said, hey, Greg, they're coming to Richmond to produce a TV commercial from a big ad agency. We can't invite them to your flea-infested apartment. So we found a studio and opened up a studio, and that's how we started. It was all serendipitous.
Yeah, it sounds it. So, and I remember back in those days, I was still, I guess, you said what, 81?
81.
Yeah. So back in those days, I was still working as a director for Richmond Public Schools. So I was just a lowly video director. And I remember you and some other people were doing these production companies and doing these commercials. And I remember hearing about back in those days how that the budgets were pretty impressive for the time. Like you wouldn't just go rent a living room. You would have a living room built if you had to shoot a commercial.
We constructed things all the time. We brought in Panavision equipment from Chicago. We did it to the nines.
Well, that was back in the 80s. When did you see things start to change? Because I know by the time I got out there being self-employed in the 90s, budgets were not anywhere near as generous as they used to be.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. I guess when the towers went down in Manhattan, the world changed, in my opinion. I sort of added a side business at that point. I added Silverman stock footage.
Right.
Because I needed to supplement the business. And that worked out pretty well for a good number of years.
For the listeners who don't know necessarily what that means, what did you do as a stock footage provider?
I represented filmmakers all over the country, sometimes around the world, who had libraries of footage that either they didn't use in productions or they just shot on their own for their own purposes. I presented that footage to TV shows, network shows, feature films, TV commercials, corporate videos. Over time, I just kept building a library and it kept getting bigger and bigger.
What are some of the like movies or TV shows that we might have heard of that ended up using some of your footage? Do you know?
Well, Alias was a big client of mine for a number of years. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's a scene in there from downtown Ginza at night in Japan. Just bunches and bunches of TV shows and TV commercials.
Well, now, nowadays there's a million of those stock companies. I guess, is that what made you decide to stop doing it? I mean, because, now you can just get on, there's probably 20 or 30 of them you can get on and get footage for virtually nothing.
That's correct. In the beginning, it was rights managed. And rights managed meant that you had to pay for that particular unique scene a good sum of money. Not a huge amount of money, but a good sum of money. As time graduated, or progressed, I should say, we got into royalty free. And originally, royalty free were kind of junky video shots, but then it got better and better and better. And then it became a business that I didn't belong in anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you can get good footage now for $25. It's crazy.
Right.
Exactly. I remember back in the old days, if you wanted something, you played by the second, and it could be as much as $100 a second just for some stock footage.
That's exactly right.
So once you retired, I know that you started painting.
I did.
Did you have a background as a painter? Were you just kind of self-taught? It was just something you wanted to do?
Self-taught. I took a couple of classes with an artist, and she was more of a still life painter, and that wasn't something that really interested me. But I got a feeling for how to paint. Went up to Yonkers one day, which is not far from where I live, and there was an art building. And I said to the guy, "Can I rent a studio for a week?" He said, "No." "Can I rent it for a day?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, what's the deal?" He says, "You can rent it for a year."
Wow.
Marianne said, "Rent it." And I said, "What, are you crazy? I'm not even a painter." Well, I went there every day for pretty much 3 years or 4 years, and started painting, and it just became my life.
Did you sell any of them?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And you said now you're writing a book. What was the impetus for writing this book?
Marianne and I are snowbirds. We live in Boynton Beach, Florida, and we live in Riverdale, New York. And in Florida, 4 years ago, a friend approached me and said, "Hey, Donald, we're starting a writing group." She said, "Why don't you join us?" I said, "I'm not a writer." She said, "Sure you are. I've seen your emails." I said, "Oh, come on." She said, "Why don't you try it?" So I said, "I'll try it once. I'll write an essay." So I wrote a short essay. I came to the group, and they started laughing. And I said, "Well, that's a pretty good response."
Laughing with you, not at you.
That's correct.
Okay, good.
So I came back the next week, I wrote another essay, and they started laughing. So I said, "Well, this is fun." So I started writing essays for 4 years. And a friend in the group said, "Why don't you put a book together of your essays?" I think my book is almost 200 pages.
Wow.
It's on Amazon. It's on Kindle. It's on soft and hardcover. It's been out for a couple of weeks. I've sold almost 100 copies already.
Wow, good. I was going to ask you how the response has been.
It's gotten great reviews, very funny reviews.
So, Donald, why don't you read us an excerpt, one of your favorite essays from the book?
Would love to. This one's called Well Care. Thank you for calling Well Care. If you're trying to reach One Care, We Care, Some Care, Who Cares, or You're Kidding Me Pharmaceuticals, press 1. If you're trying to reach We Care, You Think We Care, We Used to Care, or I'd Like to Think You Care, press 2. Beep. You've reached the Well Care helpline. We're here to help you, guide you, steer you, and help find you the help that you need. But first, we need to confirm who you are exactly. Please enter your date of birth. No, that's wrong. You need to enter the month, day, and year you were born. No, that's wrong. Don't you know when you were born? Didn't you attend your birthing session? You need to enter the month using 3 letters. If you don't know the third letter, you're just dumb, and we can't help you. If you know the day you were born, speak clearly into the phone. No, you couldn't have born on the 32nd of the month. Okay, just tell us the year you were born. No, we don't believe you were born in the 1400s. Just go back and get this shit straight. No, let's know your member number. If you need 5 seconds, we can wait until you dig up your wallet and dig past your Gentleman's Club cards, Jiffy Lube, Victoria's Secret, Greasy Spoon Diner cards. No, your number is not "You Suck 1, 2, 3. Try again. Now, in a few simple words, let us know why you're calling. I need to I'm sorry, I didn't get that. Try again. I have a, I'm sorry, I did not get that. In less than a few words, tell us we can help you. I want to, I'm sorry, we're experiencing a great deal of incoming calls, and you'll have to wait 16 hours before we can connect you with an operator. Do you have a Tesla battery that you can keep connected during this time? Please stay on the line. If you hang up, you'll need to start this process all over, and the wait time might be 6 weeks. Pause. Hello, my name is Nakishawananda. Can you tell me your date of birth? I do not understand you. Can you say it like you grew up in Brooklyn? Okay. Now, I need your social security card number. I don't want to give you my social security card number. Okay. What was your great, great, great grandmother's name? Bubala. Okay. That's good. Now, what can I help you with? I ordered 6 drugs for renewal 5 weeks ago. I haven't seen a confirmation, nor have I received any drugs since my order. Okay, let me look up your files. Tell me your last name. Silverman. Silverwand? No. Silverman. Silverwound? No. Silverman. Can you spell your last name? Silverman. I'm sorry, you seem to be breaking up. Can you do that again? Okay, I got it. I see you tried to order hydrochlorothiazide. Is that correct? No. It's hydrochlorosamine. Can you spell that? No. Can you spell encyclopedia? If you can't look it up, find Jiminy Cricket on Google. He did a great rendition on the Mickey Mouse Club in the 1950s. What's the next drug on your list? Xarelto. Can you spell Xarelto? No. Do you spell Xarelto? No. Would you like me to spell it in Tamil, the language of Sri Lanka? Yes, that would be helpful. Okay, let me go to Google Translate. I'm sure they'll scramble the spelling much worse than I did. Do you have any other drugs you'd like to renew? Yes. Can you tell me which ones? I'm afraid to. Maybe I'll just go to CVS and wait online for 2 weeks. They're always reliable enough to tell me that the drugs are on back order and I'll have to pay $35,000 more than my pharmaceutical coverage allows. That's always comforting. WellCare. You guys nailed it with that name.
That's great. As somebody who's had to go through that with WellCare and other organizations, you nailed it. That was hilarious. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Surprise guest drop-in.
I want to jump back to the good old days in Richmond, and somebody's here to reminisce with you. Hold on a second.
Do you recognize my voice?
Is that Chris?
Yes.
Hi.
Footnote.
Chrissy Offit lived in Richmond in the 90s and is now a teacher in L.A. The podcast I did with her is full of great stories about her days in Hollywood production, and I'll include a link to it on the webpage for this show at tvjerry.com.
How's California?
California is amazing.
What wonderful stories do you have about working with Donald Silverman back in the day?
Back in the day.
I think we only worked on one production, and I can't remember which one it was.
Well, Donald, but don't forget that you were so generous with your time with me that you showed me, I didn't really know what stock footage meant.
Okay.
So our paths crossed throughout the mid to late 90s professionally.
Right.
But I have to tell you, to both of you, how wonderful to have memories of 2 men in production. And I was in my 20s. That was 30 years ago, 30 years ago.
Right.
And you were both so willing to teach me and be generous with your time. And neither one of you were creepy.
Well, that's good. Glad to hear that.
But Donald, I just had the most wonderful memories. And you both started my obsession with Jewish men and gay men.
Oh, okay. One of each.
So where else was I supposed to move but Los Angeles?
That's funny.
And I think I did some motion control for you at Henniger, right?
Footnote.
Motion control is an old process that used a big rig to move a camera around photographs, now called the Ken Burns effect. And Henniger was a DC-based post-production company that had an office in Richmond for a while.
You might have. There was
That was
another
kind of
guy.
my thing.
Yeah, there was a guy up in Henninger's building who did motion control. I don't remember his name.
Yeah, his name was Chrissy Offit. I did it too.
Okay.
Yes, I had short hair, Donald, and I know you were happily married, but I was not a guy.
Yeah, right.
I think our history begins even before Henniger. Did you know Richfield?
Sure.
That's where I started.
And that's how I know you. But it reminds me of something. There used to be a woman that lived in Richmond named Jody Lomenzo. She used to be a producer at ABC News in New York, and we're still friends. I grew up in Long Beach in New York, and she told me recently that she used to work at The Bitter End, and Billy Crystal used to come in. I went to school with Billy Crystal.
That's
Oh, really?
right.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Billy used to come in to do a show, and she used to sit and play backgammon with him in between the shows. I don't know why, but that just triggered a memory.
Well, I'm going to let you guys go back to your chat, but I wanted to jump on and say hi, Donald.
Nice seeing you, Christine.
Thank you very much, my
All
dear.
right, bye, Donald. Good to see you. Tell your wife and puppy I say hi.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
I want to hear about Billy Crystal, and I want to hear some stories about the good old days of production, but somebody else has dropped in who said, well, I think I should talk too. So hold on one second.
This is your life, Donald Silverman.
Mad Dog.
Footnote.
Mad Dog is a writer, musician, entrepreneur, and former local Richmond legend.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good.
So, Mad Dog, what did you and Donald work on together?
Well, we've over the years, we've done a lot of things between my writing scripts for him, my doing some on-camera for him, and a lot of promotional stuff for him. Probably the most notable is helping give him the nickname The Other Donald, which has stuck with him to this day.
Yeah.
Donald came to me and wanted to do some promotional postcards, which back in the days before social media and before internet, people actually send out postcards to try and attract attention, get work and stuff. So he wanted something to send out. And I came up with the idea of doing The Other Donald. And we got together, and Donald was easily the best sport, because on the three of them, the idea was, this Donald, but here's the other Donald. Well, the first one, we got a kind of a fake Donald Duck costume from Premiere or somewhere in town, and took a photograph of Donald wearing this big duck costume, holding a duck head in his arm. And of course, it said, he is the other Donald.
Who was the second Donald?
The second one took a photograph of him dancing, and I think Barry Fitzgerald took all these photographs, if I remember. And then we photoshopped him into a scene from Singing in the Rain of him dancing with Donald O'Connor.
That was pretty obtuse.
It was a little obtuse, but anything to get a photograph of you dancing is worth it, man.
Well, at least I know who Donald O'Connor is, but I'm gay, so I'm supposed to.
There you go.
Footnote.
For the straight listeners out there, Donald O'Connor was an actor, singer, and dancer who was in numerous movies and TV shows from 1937 to 1997. He's best known for Singing in the Rain as the third of the trio with Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds.
I figured this was going out to, art directors and creative people, and they should all know that.
That's true.
And then the third one, which, of course, looking back on it now, stands up very oddly, took a photograph of Donald and then had him photoshopped standing with his arms around Donald Trump and Marla Maples.
Wow.
Of course, the Marla Maples dates it right there. And, of course, he was the other Donald.
And how did that go over, Donald Silverman?
Well, I got a cease and desist from Turner Entertainment. I only had 5,000 postcards of each one. So, when I got a call from Turner Entertainment, I said, okay, I'll stop. I already sent them all out. I didn't tell them that. Then I got a call from Trump's lawyer saying, you better stop that. You can't do that. So I said, okay, I'll stop, because I'd already sent those out. And that was the end of that.
You didn't get one from Disney?
No, I don't think I ever sent the Disney one out. I got one shot at that point.
Yeah.
No, and so Donald, of course, since then, Donald started using the other Donald. His email is the other Donald, and he's used it ever since. And
you're still getting residuals from that, right, Mad Dog?
Oh, weekly.
Weekly with a W-E-A-K-L-Y, right?
Exactly.
So, Donald, how did the campaign work? Did you get work out of it? That's the most important thing.
There was one job that I got out of it, and I got an amazing job out of Hawaii to produce a marketing film for an old rock resort called Mauna Kea Beach Hotel. So the budget was fabulous. The job was amazing. And so I got one job out of that whole campaign, but it was worth it.
And you didn't take me to Hawaii.
No, I should have.
Billy,
Oh,
Mad Dog,
man.
you're not holding any grudges here, are you?
No, 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 not at all. The residuals make up for it.
There
Don't
you
worry
go.
about it.
Any other good stories before we let you go?
No, I think that's the main one. All the others are just too embarrassing for both of us. Donald, congratulations on the book. We're
Thank
loving
you.
it.
Thank you for your help.
Yeah, you worked on the book a little bit, didn't you? What was your involvement in that?
Well, I didn't actually work on the book itself. Donald wrote all the essays, and a number of years ago, Donald wanted to do a website when he started painting. And so I created the website for him, and then he came to me a while back and said he wanted to put these essays on the website. And so I created a section on there, and we posted them up on there. And then Donald decided to put them together into a book form, which I didn't have anything to do with that end of it. That's all his doing.
But you still get residuals from the website, so that works out.
Yeah, just like everything else.
Yeah. Right. Well, we'll have to make sure we include a link to that website too, so people can at least see those paintings.
It's the other Silverman.com.
Oh, okay.
We wanted to be the other Donald.com, but oddly enough, when he wanted to start it and I tried to get the domain name, somebody already had the domain name The Other Donald.
Wow. When I started the Dirt Woman documentary, I wanted to get dirtwoman.com. I figured that'd be easy. And actually, there's already a dirtwoman.com website, and they sell women's dildos, which I was surprised. I'm like, really? Okay. So there is the dirtwoman.com. I got dirtwomandoc.com, obviously. Well, thanks for dropping in all the way from San Francisco for us, Mad Dog. It's great to hear from you as usual.
No problem. Great to talk to you, Jerry, and great to talk to you, Donald.
Same here, Mad Dog.
So I want to go back here, see if you got some great stories about some of the spots or some of the work you did that were kind of unusual, crazy, or whatever. But first of all, what's the Billy Crystal story? How long were you in school with him, and how well did you know him?
I went to school with Billy Crystal from 6th grade to 12th grade.
Okay.
So I knew him pretty well. We weren't buddies, but we knew each other well.
And was he funny back then?
I went to a high school with a bunch of Jewish guys that were all funny. He just had to stick with it.
Right.
I mean,
right.
he was funny, but he wasn't that much funnier than anybody else. I remember playing basketball with him once, and he's a short guy, and I'm a tall guy, and I blocked the shot, and he wasn't very happy about that.
Okay. Well, so let's go back to those commercials when Chrissy was talking about back in those days. I know you did tons and tons of them. What were some that stood out to you, whether they were either like a crazy client or an unusual concept or something that made the spots unique?
Well, one of the spots, the group of spots that put Hoy Silverman on the map, were the spots we did for WWDC in Washington. They were promoting a new disc jockey they had on staff called Howard Stern.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Howard had just gone on the air recently and did some outrageous stuff up there. We got 5-10-second storyboards that were the funniest things I'd ever seen. And we flew up to New York and we went to a casting session. And I couldn't stop laughing the entire day. And I said to Hoy, if this is how you make a living, making TV commercials, I'm in. One of the actresses was Seinfeld's mother before she was Seinfeld's mother.
Right.
George's mother, that's right.
Oh, George's mother, George Costanza. Okay. Right.
We did some spots for the DC lottery when it's pouring in the rain outdoors, and the actors were dancing, and I thought somebody's going to get electrocuted here, but it didn't happen.
Were they supposed to be dancing in the rain, or was it just a rainy day and you said, well, let's shoot anyway?
No, they were supposed to be dancing, not in the rain.
But the show must go on, so you had to shoot it anyway.
And then we did a spot for a product called Easy Roller, which was a paint roller. And I remember, there was a scene where we were just rolling paint on some wallboard, and the copywriter looked at me and said, this is like watching paint dry for a TV commercial. Right. It was pretty funny. I did a lot of work for CSX and traveled all over the world for them. Steel Chainsaw, we climbed a mountain up in Mount St. Helens to prove that they could cut down a tree with a consumer saw.
Wow.
We had to get a notary public, and the crew wanted us to pay them Sherpa wages because the climbing was so tough.
Now, is there something about your career you haven't mentioned that would be fun for people to know? I mean, making commercials back in those days was pretty cool because you shot everything on film too at first, right?
Totally fun.
Yeah.
Totally fun way to make a living. Now I'm a writer. That's
Yeah.
what I do.
Last question I always like to ask everybody when you're not writing your book or coming up with ideas for it, what do you like to watch? What are you watching right now?
I like to watch Suits.
Did you watch it the first time when it was on TNT, or did you wait until it was on Netflix?
No, Netflix.
Okay.
They're all crazy. They're all mean. They're all nasty, but they're all interesting.
And is Meghan Markle memorable from the show then, or did that become later when she became royalty?
I'm more interested in Rachel, who plays Donna.
And I don't have any idea. I gave up after 2 episodes of it. So
she's a redhead. She's a pretty attractive woman. I hope to get back in the painting as soon as I feel a little bit better, and that's always fun to do. I just donated a painting to a school for kids who have developmental disabilities up in the Bronx, and they were very appreciative. It was very nice.
Well, I want to thank you. It's good to talk to you. It's been a while. I remember the last time I saw you in person, I think you and Marianne came over for dinner.
Yes.
And that was before you left Richmond, obviously. When did you leave Richmond?
2007, I think.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Well, say hello to Marianne. I think she was hovering in the background. I think I heard her there.
I will.
And thanks so much for doing this. And I'll, of course, we'll have a link to the Amazon, to the book, and to the painting website and all that stuff when people get on the website.
Well, thanks, Jerry. Bye-bye.
That was Donald Silverman, a former Richmond director, talking about his days producing national and local commercials. Silverman Productions closed in 2008. He's also written a book titled Oddball Thoughts, a collection of random observations. And as you heard during the podcast, some of them are pretty funny. I'll have links to his book, his painting website, and some of the other Donald postcards on the webpage for the show at tvjerry.com.
Coming soon. In theaters.
Inside Out 2, the sequel to the popular Pixar film with new emotions. Firebrand, based on Catherine Parr, the sixth wife of Henry VIII, with Alicia Vikander and Jude Law. Treasure, Lena Dunham plays an American journalist who travels to Poland to visit her father, Stephen Fry. Tuesday, a mother and her teenage daughter confront death when it arrives in the form of an astonishing talking bird, starring Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
TV and streaming.
The Boys on Amazon. The 4th season picks up at the end of season 3. Presumed Innocent on Apple. From David E. Kelley and J.J. Abrams comes this series about a Chicago prosecutor, Jake Gyllenhaal, who becomes the prime suspect in a murder. The Tony Awards, the award show for Broadway theater, will be on CBS and Paramount+. Outstanding, a comedy revolution on Netflix, a documentary about the history of queer stand-up comedy over the last 50 years. Disco, the soundtrack of a revolution on PBS. Speaking of queers, here's a documentary on disco. Bratz on Hulu. This documentary revolves around the stars of the 80s film Brat Pack, directed by Andrew McCarthy. House of the Dragon on Max. This is the 2nd season of the Game of Thrones prequel. Black Barbie on Netflix. This documentary is produced by Shondaland about the first black Barbie doll in 1920. Federer, The 12 Days on Amazon. This documentary follows the famed tennis player in his final tournament. Hotel Cocaine on MGM+, a crime thriller about a Cuban exile who ran a hotel in the center of Miami's drug trade. Power of the Dream on Amazon, a doc about the WNBA's journey to be recognized equally. Cult Massacre, One Day in Jamestown on Hulu, a new documentary on the Jim Jones cult, told through survivors. Next week, we complete our conversation with Paul Serwitz, a longtime film buyer who will dive deeper into the concepts and challenges of buying and booking films. This is Jerry Williams. Thanks for listening.
For more Sister, including literally thousands of reviews,
Visit tvjerry.com.
That's a wrap.